My guests are David Cheek and John McCloskey. They are with SCORE. SCORE is out of Wilmington and relates to Brunswick County as well. Gentlemen, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Thank you. Nice.
Let's make sure that we introduce the two of you to our viewing audience. Tell us a little, David, you're the chairman, am I correct?
Correct.
Tell us a little bit about SCORE and your role in the organization.
Well, I'm the current chapter chair of SCORE. SCORE is it's a mentoring organization. It's really provides free and confidential consultations and to help young entrepreneurs and people in business who perhaps need a little boost, a little bit of technical information to help them move to the next level. And basically, SCORE is an organization it's national. It's been around since 1964, actually, for SCORE. The office here in Wilmington has actually been around since 1967.
How about that?
So it's been around a good while. Does a lot of good things. We tend to think because, again, very much a national organization with a fairly good reputation, that everyone knows SCORE. So we always find out the real truth that our penetration is probably not what we'd like.
Well, you have a great story, and that's why we're here today, at least in part, to tell your story.
Right.
Our viewers would be interested in knowing a little bit about your background.
Certainly. I'm from New York. I worked for a fairly large financial institution, J.P. Morgan. Spent some 37 years there doing both domestic and international banking transactions. I spent some time abroad and establishing and running an office in the Middle East, actually. But my sort of business focus was really small business, middle market business, and international operational issues, and as well as private banking.
You live in Wilmington.
I live in Wilmington.
And that gives me the segue to turn to John and say you live in Southport.
I do.
Tell us a little bit about your background.
I retired 2 years ago after 17 years as the CEO of an international aerospace company. We had factories literally all over the world and thousands of employees. The products were essentially main shaft bearings for jet engines and other components that were flight critical.
Well, thank you both for those great careers. You probably don't have a typical businessman or woman interested in your services, but tell us, give us a profile of the individuals that might contact you.
Boy, there's a wide range of people. We've had clients that are nonprofit 501c3s that we've helped. People in moderate-sized businesses, let's say greater than 10 and less than 500. And one of the great things about SCORE is that there are 30 of us and we have a wide range of expertise.
That's good to know.
Mine is manufacturing and engineering. David is banking. We've got finance people, marketing people. So whatever is hurting the business or hindering it from growing, we can generally fill the hole.
And David, how much time might one of your clients spend with you?
Well, actually, we have no limits placed on that. We encourage, obviously, we want to pursue the first session to kick it off, to really understand what the client's real needs are. Sometimes it's pretty basic. Often it can be somewhat more complex. But we say, look, I mean, we're here for the duration. I mean, there's no limit of how many basic sessions you can have. You can then use us for a sort of tune-up every 6 months, every year. So there's no limitation. So we have some clients, in the recent times, it's probably been around with some of the counselors now for 15 years, 15, 20 years.
Wow, that's impressive.
Certainly.
What about cost?
That's the great part about it. It's we offer it as it's free, really a great price. It's confidential, as we say.
That's important.
And however, that has very little relationships to the value that's provided. So we, as John said, I mean, we have a myriad of expertise and a number of industry areas, a number of subject matters that can really address pretty much anyone's concerns. I mean, I think one of the things that we tend to see a lot of we're seeing a lot of was people wanting to start a restaurant. And as many of us know, restaurants are pretty high risk. Typically, you might lose half of them or better, and before the first year is out. And so some of the reasons we hear that someone wants to start a restaurant, we often have to step back and say, because you have a great recipe does not really relate and tie into being a restaurant owner.
Sure.
So if we can kind of let's just recircle this thing and determine how we might best set it up. So we can help some folks not go the wrong path, and some who just really need to figure out how they can better structure this and recognize the real cost in starting it.
And ultimately, businessmen and women, they need information. Am I right?
They do. They need information, and also they really need a sounding board.
Good point.
Because they have great stuff. Many of them have been in business, and maybe this business is a startup for them, but it's not new in terms of the process for them, because maybe they've been lucky. It's kind of like if you go back into the securities markets at some point in time, everyone was great in selecting great securities and stocks. Right. You just throw a dot up and they were going to probably make money. Well, when it gets difficult, time gets tighter, you really need to have a little more expertise than just that. And we see that in some of the entrepreneurs who really want to start a new venture.
And John, you get both entrepreneurs and businessmen of all ages and all types.
And operating businesses that perhaps are having cash flow problems. Perhaps they need to grow and they're stuck. And very often we will point them towards the fields of knowledge that they need to acquire, and in so doing, it will answer the question for them. They'll answer it themselves as to whether or not they should do the business, grow the business, and sometimes status quo is the right answer.
You're based in Wilmington, but we want our viewers to know that you and 30 others are available to assist our businessmen and women in the county.
Yep. As David said, about a third of our counselors are from Brunswick County. BCC, Small Business Development Center, has graciously given us a very large office space.
Good.
We have an excellent cooperation with them, and the office space that we get is free of charge. We meet with clients there regularly on Wednesday, or we're pretty flexible about having off-site, odd-time meetings. So, Saturday morning at the Port City Java is not a problem for us.
Excellent. This is a little different, but say I'm a retired businessman in my own right and I want to be a part of your group. How does that work?
Would we love to have you too.
Absolutely. I mean, that is so key to us. I mean, again, we have no limitations on the number of mentors we can have in our particular organization here, and we're constantly looking because, again, I guess the percentage is probably 80–85% of our counselors are retired, and some are still very actively involved in particular endeavors. So there's need from time to time to one, help replace someone who's just, for whatever reason, realizes that they have to limit their activities. And so in some cases, they become more of an advisory member of our organization. And so we need folks to kind of fill that void and also provide more so that we can be in more places at one time and can provide more formats that can be useful to our client base.
And if I were a member of your organization, would I attend meetings or would I basically work with counseling those in need?
Well, we look at members to participate, one in mentoring, certainly becoming a part of we have monthly meetings. We do outside seminars and workshops. We like them to be involved in that. Some folks come and they really say, look, I really don't want to mentor, but guess what? I can really run and orchestrate a workshop, a seminar, or I have a particular program because I have a particular skill in an area that I think it's really useful for this market, and we can do that. We have a couple of people who do just workshops, in seminars.
You mentioned the word mentor twice, and that's an important word. John, would you elaborate on that just a little bit, the mentoring process?
It is generally one-on-one, and as David said, it's free, and I think more importantly, absolutely confidential. We are very good listeners, and I would say that probably 80% of the first meeting is listening. Sometimes it's about asking the right questions, but we let the client tell us all about their business, what they think their issues are. Perhaps they're trying to start a business and don't have a clue, and we get a lot of those people.
Sure.
But our objective is to have free and open communication and then to guide, and that's the mentoring process.
Well, you and your organization offer a great resource to Brunswick County and New Hanover, of course. We appreciate your being with us today, and we hope our viewers will avail themselves of your services as they may need them. It's an important service, and we thank you for being with us.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure being here.
Chief
Thanks.
John McCloskey, thank you.